Hello and welcome to The Works. Today we're going to be assembling an MCM nightstand like this one with turned legs, plywood sides, and a walnut top. Stick around to see how it's done. After cutting the length of the radial arm saw, I bring the boards over to the joiner where I can prepare one edge for ripping on the table saw. The lumber I'm using here has already been face jointed by my lumber supplier, which helps out a lot because my joiner is only 6 inches and these boards are over 7 inches wide. Once joining is complete, I start planing both sides of the boards using my DeWalt 734. You'll notice that this is one of the only new tools in the shop, but even then I bought it open box at a hefty discount. This machine has extended infeed and outfeed tables that make it handy for longer boards. I never have run into snipe problems with this one. Pay attention to the grain direction when feeding the planer, as the direction of the grain can cause tear out, chipping, and other defects on a hard wood like walnut. I had a few issues on the edge of one board, but a round over bit will take care of the problem. I'm removing the plywood cutting blade, which is an 82 tooth blade, and replacing it with a 24 tooth blade for ripping the walnut. This will finish up that last edge and give me a nice gluing surface for my tabletop. The freshly jointed edge gets placed up against the fence, and each board gets passed through the saw to rip it to its final width. To help with alignment during glue up, I'm putting in 3/8 inch dowels using a self-centering jig. The marking here is easy. Make 2 lines across the face of both boards to function as a guide for the jig. Absolute placement of the dowels isn't important, but relative placement is. Ensure the boards are lined up exactly before marking. And as when gluing any top, be sure to alternate the grain direction to minimize warping from humidity changes. Once the boards are clamped in the vise, use a square and a sharp pencil to draw the reference marks. For setting the drill depth, I start out by measuring the dowel and dividing the length by 2. It needs to be a clearance fit within the 2 boards. So I want to drill slightly over the haft length. I use this measurement to confirm the drill extends far enough out of the jig to get the fit I want. Now that the boards are marked and the jig is set up, it's time to drill. I purchased this doweling jig for about $5 at an estate sale. The people had no idea what it was, but I am certainly happy with it. You never know what you're going to come across at these sales. I highly recommend them for woodworking tools. I repeat the process for the second nightstand. Don't mix up the boards here, as it will slow you down during glue up. The benefit of doing random dowel placement ensures that each top has a unique hole pattern and it will only go together one way. Now on to the glue up. I'm spreading the glue thinly over the joints to help distribution and because it makes me sleep better at night. Then, each dowel hole gets extra glue and I go over the pins and the holes with a small brush. You'll see this hammer a lot. It's made of softwood and won't damage the joints. This hammer I bought from another tag sale, and the man was a retired Marine who restored old hand tools. I got a low angle block plane, an egg beater drill, and the star at scale I carry in my pocket. Once the glue is spread, I'm ready to clamp the boards together. It doesn't hurt to check the top for square at this point, as a warped top won't be usable. I'm making a pair of nightstands, hence the two tops. The parallel clamps will keep the boards flat, and the addition of F clamps will provide additional clamping pressure. These Harbor Freight clamps aren't known for their strength. Now, I repeat the process for the other nightstand. Remember I mentioned the unique hole patterns? This is where it comes in handy. I was able to tell that one of the boards was out of order and correct it without taking the whole thing apart. If they had been identical, I would have a big mess on my hands trying to take those joints apart. That looks a lot better. I came back after 30 minutes to peel off the squeeze out. Don't use your best chisel for this, as wood glue corrodes steel. I probably could have waited an additional 15 minutes before doing this, but it worked out just fine. This will save me some effort when it comes time to clean up the glue lines. Notice how I put paper under the boards? This is to stop any squeeze out from rusting the surface of my table saw. I was happy with the glue set and needed to clean off my table saw, so I brought them over to the workbench to start the next process. This is where I called it a night. When I woke up the next morning to a foot of snow, the last thing I wanted to do was go snow shovel. So I got back to work on the tabletops. Can confirm, it looks like a tabletop. I have a very simple workbench that is older than me. I added a few dog holes in front of the vise, and was able to use the vise dog to hold the panel in place. I knocked down the high spots with a chisel at first, and then I came back with the plane to smooth out the bigger lines. Turning the plane 45 degrees to help stop tear out where the grain turns. Use this trick when planing end grain, wild grain, or any rough wood. Happy with the results, we can move on to the next step. The sides of the cabinet are 3/4 inch A1 birch plywood. It isn't quite as nice to work with as Baltic birch, but it's about 25% cheaper and has a better figure. I plan on using a natural finish, so I'm looking for nice patterns in the graying room. I broke down the sheets with a track saw, and these are the final cuts to width. I made these plans on paper and didn't really dimension everything exactly, and the goal here was to use up leftover plywood from another build. With all the cuts for the sides complete, I made sure to do a fit check to see if I was wildly off in my measurements. I'm glad I did this because I cut both of the middle shelf dividers 1 inch too short. No problem. I simply doweled a small offcut on the back of the shelf to add another inch. Because I'm putting a drawer above the shelf, it will be hidden from view and nobody will know. I mean, other than you. Please don't tell my wife. There's still a long way to go with this project. If you made it this far, subscribe to see the next video. There I'll go over the iron-on edge banding, the walnut edge banding, routing the dadoes for the shelf, important weather updates, and many more exciting topics. Thanks for watching.